Hey everyone, I am Coach Wolverine, the owner and the creator of the Wolverine Lifestyle, and the co-host to the channel A Conversation Over Drinks. Would you like to know one of the many reasons why we self-sabotage? There's a lot of layers to it, but this is one of the easier ways I find to describe it. When we start moving towards something that we want, that we don't currently have, and what we don't currently have has been a repeated pattern that has become our normal. Okay, almost, let's say it's our foundation is rooted in the chaos of whatever discomfort that we're currently feeling is. So when we start moving out of this place, okay, when we say we have a pattern of really bad relationships and we try and get into a good one, okay? Or we have a pattern of job hopping for reasons just because, not because of actual, legitimate reasons, like a boss treating you poorly or something really bad happening at work. Outside of those reasons, but just job hopping because you're bored, or trying to put money in your account because you're used to being broke. Those types of things, right? If those are your norms, if you're used to being broke, if you're used to job hopping, if you're used to being in bad relationships, moving away from that familiar is unfamiliar. And unfamiliar is uncomfortable. Because it's uncomfortable, we will begin to self-sabotage to then attempt to convince ourselves why where we were was okay, right? Those bad relationships, but there was some good in them, right? Oh, the money that I didn't have in my account, well, I got by. The job hopping, well, I was just bored. The thing is, though, is that we are the common denominator in all of these situations. So it means that when we keep going into these bad relationships and we keep having the strained bank account and when we keep job hopping, it's because we're choosing to do so because those actions are familiar. So when we start to begin to explore ourselves and start figuring out why we are the way we are, and we start realizing that our foundation of peace, the perception that we hold, is built on the foundation of these styles of chaos in and around us. So when we start doing something different and moving towards what we actually want, but it's not our familiar, our perception of peace gets misconstrued because the foundation is changing. When it was in chaos, that is familiar. But when we start building a foundation of peace and what we actually want to have and want to achieve, it's unfamiliar. So we feel not at ease, unbalanced on the inside, purely because it's not familiar. It's just like when you were learning how to ride a bike, going from training wheels to two wheels is unfamiliar. So we sometimes as kids, as I'm sure a lot of you either have kids or even remember from your age, rationalize why you still needed those training wheels, why you still needed them, even though the people around you knew that you didn't. But anyways, so now that we know that when we move forward out of familiar, just purely because it's not familiar, it's uncommon to us, we will self-sabotage. We will create chaos around us in all of these other situations when we decide to try and better ourselves, to self-explore, to get ourselves out of that, because the chaos that we're creating around us is familiar to us. It doesn't matter who's striking the match to create the chaos, but it's the feeling of the chaos. It's the addiction to the hormonal highs. That's where we become familiar and addicted to it, so then we self-sabotage to drag ourselves back. So moving through life, if you realize Just like when I realized that there are continuous thought cycles and patterns happening here where I might not believe I deserve something, or that I'm not good enough, or that I'm inadequate, or that whatever it might be. If I sit back and I self-reflect, I'm like, this is a regular occurrence happening. So where in me is creating this feeling to then entice my ego to self-sabotage to keep me feeling like this? What is the reason I am tied to this? And why can't I let go of this story I'm telling myself to rewrite a new story for my future? And when we do that self-exploration and find that, it's accepting that rebuilding the new foundation of peace for us, what we actually want, the good relationship, the healthy bank account, the good career path, and knowing that those are going to feel awkward and vulnerable for us at first because it's not our familiar and we're not used to it. But with time and changing our thought patterns and changing our thought habits, and we learn that we do deserve to have those things, we will slowly rebuild the foundation as to what we perceive peace to be. So it's a matter of stepping into that vulnerability, focusing on what you actually want, not what you don't want, moving forward with it, and accepting the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable because it's not familiar. That's it for everything today, guys. Please like, share, subscribe on whatever content you are consuming this video on, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.